On this episode of Beyond the Bounce presented by ZTE, we feature former NBA head coach Del Harris. And we'll introduce you to a new challenge called Small Ball. All that and more on BTB. Well, Coach, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Travis.
Glad to have you as our first guest and look forward to diving into some fun topics. I know you've got plenty to share with us.
Maybe.
Well, Coach, hot button topic at this time of year is, well, the NBA draft. And you've lived through several of them as a head coach and executive here at the D-League level as well. But this time of year, if you're the man in charge, you're calling the shots, what are you looking for? What are the characteristics, the traits of young players coming into today's game that really strike a chord with you?
Well, obviously, you got to select from a pool of people who already have exhibited the ability to be in the draft. You can't just go out and get Boy Scouts who've never played the game. However, once they've demonstrated the abilities to be considered in the draft, well, then you're looking for character, kind of teammate that he has been and is projected to be. And certainly if he has a particular quality that we call a hook that can put him into professional basketball. You know, he can do something at the NBA level, whether that's to defend or to distribute the ball, to shoot, to rebound, whatever that might be. And of course, if you're fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to have to, be picking in the top 3 or 4, unless you got it through trades, why, naturally, that particular player has to have more than just a hook. He's got to have lots of stuff.
Well, your son Larry is out there with the NBA world champion Golden State Warriors, and you said earlier before we began the show, he's preparing for the draft. Character versus culture. You mentioned that he's got to have character, especially if you're drafting high. In today's game, we see quite a few characters, as I'm sure they existed back, for your old Quakers days. Your time there in Houston and Dallas and with the Lakers, wherever you may have been. But today, character versus culture. What impact can culture create or make for a team? And then how can players individually fill into that culture? And how can they be a positive or a detriment to that vision that the team
Well,
has?
I think that when you look at the teams that have been winning championships over the last, actually pretty much forever, but certainly recent years, it's easier to talk about. Character has been one of the outstanding factors in having a team culture have really made probably the difference as opposed to abilities. And, speaking obviously first of all of the Spurs, and then this is a great example with the Warriors. I think that their character shone through quite obviously. Cleveland, not that they have bad people, but it was obvious that they were more splintered in terms of their particular team culture. But Miami, on the other hand, when they won, they seemed to be pretty much together. And right here in Dallas, we have a perfect example, I think. And I mentioned it actually in the book I wrote, On Point back in 2012, that our 2011 champions here are a perfect example of the kind of team culture that you need to do better than you really are in a way,
You had a chance, and fortunate enough, I was in the room as well when Dirk premiered his movie just a few months back, and you seemed to get a bit choked up when talking about him as a teammate and as a person.
Yeah,
staying on that aspect of character. What does it mean to have a leader, a kind of an apex or an alpha dog like a Dirk, like a Tim Duncan, in the case with the Warriors, a Steph Curry, to have someone who sets the tone like that? And more specifically, what is it that's so special about Dirk?
Well, first of all, to have a great team, the key players have to be leaders who are with the whole program, not an individual program of their own, but the group program. They have to be committed to that. And, that's what you have in Dirk, and it's what you have seen in Duncan and to Curry, and again, every team that you want to go back to, I'm guessing, I don't know all the inner workings of all the teams, but that's what you have to have. I know as a coach, having coached 53 years, that the easiest years to coach were the ones where the key one or two or three players were really, they, as we say, had your back. They're with you, and they lead. And then the lesser players, they can't not follow, And Dirk is one of those special people. That's why he's been able to maintain a career for so long at such a high level. He's, I don't know, you're right. When I was talking about it at the movie, having just seen the movie, it stirred up so many memories over the years of the 8 years that I was with him, which, where we came from zero to something.
Those were some tough years back in 98, 99.
Well, I wasn't here
early
then.
2000s.
I came in from the time that I came here, we had 20 games left in the 99-2000 season, and we won the 15 of the last 20, and from that time on, we averaged over 55 wins a year. But it wasn't just Dirk. We had Steve and Michael Finley and others who, we can't go through the whole roster, but I would mention Jason Terry, though, but wonderful people that we had. Stackhouse, and here I am.
You sure you don't want to go down the whole roster? Coach, let's fast forward from that, oh goodness, 20 games left in the 99-2000 season. Fast forward about 6 years. Team's heading to Miami, up to. What's the situation like as things start to crumble around you in the NBA Finals? That team that had just pioneered and gone so far, and then all of a sudden it starts to slip away.
It was a hard time. In retrospect, there were a lot of things that probably would have been done differently, and for the great work that Avery did while he was here, nonetheless, in 2006, he had just been a head coach for basically 1 year and 16 games. And I think that had he had a little more experience, perhaps that we would have handled things a little differently. And I think moving out of the hotel as a reaction to what some rumors were that were not true really affected our team. Again, I'm not saying that, I think Avery did a great job here, obviously, but I go back to my high school coaching. I lost a regional finals my fourth year of high school coaching that I've said many times, if I had had 2 or 3 more years experience, we would have won. And experience is a great thing, and it doesn't matter how good you are, you're probably never as good in your second year as you are going to be. And having said all that, I think the referees gave us a bad, call game, and that's a different story. But well, I'll never forget that particular loss. But as bad as that was, the next year when we win 67 games and get beat in the first round, that was worse.
Oh, kick in the gut that year.
That was worse.
That was tough.
That was my last year. But as on the coaching. I stayed on, but the coaching I didn't do after that. But that was hard because they made such a big deal about how great the Warriors were this year for winning 67 games. That's what we won.
Yeah.
And, you never hear about that.
Slipped right out of your hands in the first round. There it went. Well, Coach, you'd mentioned experience and how that can play a huge factor. This year's NBA Finals featured the Warriors and the Cavs, each with first-year head coaches, Steve Kerr, David Blatt. Steve Kerr had a little bit more experience behind him with Alvin Gentry and several others there on the staff. The most notable assistant for the Cavs being Tyronn Lue. But you and I had a chance to catch up at our youth camp last week, and you felt that there were some panic moves made on David Blatt's part as it relates to small ball and some other very common practices in today's game. So if you could maybe expand on that a bit for our audience out there, and when small ball does work, how it works, but not to necessarily panic and revert to it each and every time, perhaps to stick with your guns.
Well, I think you've covered it more or less there, but with the first point on experience, Steve had the experience of having won 5 championships himself.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, he's really been through the process of preparing a team and individuals for such an event as NBA playoffs. Dave Blatt hadn't even been here for those things. He was in Europe coaching all that time, no experience whatever in the NBA. Good coach, and any coach in Europe or South America or wherever may be as good a coach as anybody as we have here. But you've seen what has happened to our coaches who go and coach international basketball and get whipped because they don't know how to coach international ball. So it's not an indictment on Dave Blatt. It's just, as you said, experience. He how could he know? And he didn't have people behind him who had, years of experience. And it was just tough. I mean, the dynamic apparently between him and his star player, which goes back to earlier topic that we had, they were not in the same rhythm as it takes for the star and the coach to be in order to do your best. And on the last point, there are so many subtle changes a coach can make. Defensively, offensively, substitution-wise, and so forth, that at his command in any given game. Basketball coach has to make hundreds of decisions. Many of them are ones that come to his mind, and he say, "No, I won't do that." But once you commit to a decision, there's still hundreds that go on during a game. And right now, with so many inexperienced coaches in the NBA, the knee-jerk response when things are going wrong is, well, let's go to small ball. Well, there are a lot of other things you can do besides going small. And I broadcast on Fox Sports Southwest for the New Orleans Pelicans a number of their games for the last 3 years. So I, as well as my son, having been with the Warriors for the last 6 years. And I know that Warriors team fairly well, and they trick you. When they go in small ball, it ain't small. I mean, they got their guards are 6'3" and 6'7". They bring their forward line is 6'8", 6'9", 6'7", in small ball, except when they even substitute beyond that and they bring in another 6'7" guard and a 6'7" forward in Iguodala that can play anywhere and guard you. Now that's 7 guys, and the small ball is that 6'3" guy named Curry. And everybody else has got 6'5s and 6s out there thinking, yeah, we're small. Yeah, you're small, all right, but they're not. They play medium ball, I'm telling you.
It's all a mirage.
That's right.
Coach, we've seen quite a bit of an impact made by you and several other American coaches who've chosen to participate in the international game. The growth of the game, whether it be the early times you spent in Puerto Rico or Costa Rica, as well as your time in China. Describe some of those situations, and where do you see this game headed as an international game with its popularity ever increasing?
Well, my international FIBA experience started in 1969. So 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. This is 6 decades that it's covered. My coaching, 7 decades going back to the late 50s. And during that time, I've seen where there were no international players in the NBA to where now you're looking at 100 roughly foreign-born players in the NBA. I started coaching in Puerto Rico in 1969, started doing clinics in the 70s in Europe, and have been, to all the continents except Australia, to do clinics and camps for young kids over those years. And the growth of basketball has been, I think, largely due to the hunger of coaches in those countries to learn the game. And they came here, or they went to college and pro practices to learn. They had us come over. I remember back going with Jack Ramsey to Italy back in the 70s, and we were in Argentina and different places that so many of us went to spread basketball. And I've been fortunate to have coached with 5 different countries' national teams, in 1 Olympics, 2 World Games, and several other international tournaments. And we've won a number of medals, 6 medals, 2 golds and silver, 3 bronze. And, I've just really been blessed to have been a part of that particular phenomenon of international growth.
Coach, saved the toughest question for last year for you. You mentioned all the great players you coached. Well, not all of them, but several of them. Take you back to, I believe it was 1996. That Toon Squad team playing the Monstars, Space Jam. Best player on that team, not named Michael Jordan. Who was it?
On the other team?
No, on your team.
Oh, my team.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny? I don't.
You sure? Just having a little fun, Coach. Before we go, I do want to have some more fun. We've got this brand new phone from ZTE here, and I want to take the time. I'm going to give you a technical foul, and by tech, I mean technology. We're going to take a quick selfie. We're going to post on Instagram and Facebook and some other little spots there, but just have a little fun here.
That's the skinniest little phone I ever saw.
Isn't that awesome?
That's a terrific. Would that be a ZTE phone?
This would be a ZTE phone.
Wow,
Yes, sir.
No kidding. Look at that.
There you go. Big smile.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you being on the show as our first guest, and I'm sure we've got plenty more to come here as Beyond the Bounce continues to, well, bounce right along. Beyond the Bounce is presented by ZTE, a proud partner of your Texas Legends. ZTE makes a lot of our season possible, especially on the basketball side, by providing us with some of the newest technology that's out there. Last year, we featured the S Pro. It was a projector we used each and every game day while we were on the road. This season, we look forward to the S Pro 2. The interface is tremendous, and you'll see the pictures clear as day. We'll utilize it not just on the road, but we look forward to using it in our home locker room as well. Thank you to ZTE.
My name is Chris Jordan, and I'm the CEO of Verve Coffee Roasters. The ZTE S Pro 2 smart projector from AT&T helps me with just about everything I do. It's a really small, compact projector that gives me access to the Google Play Store and all of my favorite apps. It's a great touchscreen on top. It's really easy to navigate, just like an Android phone. It's so easy to pack up and take with you.
Presenting the only Android-powered smart projector, now available through AT&T.
Coach, we like to have a little fun here on Beyond the Bounce, presented by ZTE, and this is one of our game elements called small ball, which I know you're not always a fan of, as we discussed earlier. But you're going to have 24 seconds to try to make as many shots as you can here on my tabletop basketball unit. And we're going to keep your score, compare that to the scores of all of our guests this season, and the overall winner will be crowned grand champion. And it comes with an awesome prize known as bragging rights, nothing more. So, Coach, when you're ready, we'll start that 24-second clock that's behind us, and I'll give you a final countdown as we hit 5. Try to make as many as you can, and you're your own rebounder there, Coach. I can't help you out.
Wait a minute, we'll warm up.
Here we go. And we're off.
There's
one for one.
Now look, I gotta have a bit of rebounder.
Hey now.
Blocked.
1 for 3. Coach, you started out so well.
I know. Well, that was a foul. That wasn't right.
Coach, you're looking like a center you used to coach named Shaq from the free throw line right now.
What?
1 for 5.
What?
And we've got 5 seconds left.
Oh.
2 of them. He's got 2.
Oh, man, look at that.
He's all caught up.
Oh, that's not right.
1 more shot, and that's the buzzer there. Count it. We're going to count that.
Oh!
We got 3, Coach. Coach, congratulations. You're going to be the first to sign our small ball results wall board.
All
And remember, you have the grand total current lead with 3 total baskets. First man on the board.
All right.
There it is,
it's
Coach.
Better than none.
Well done, sir. Well done. Beyond the Bounce, presented by ZTE, or better known as BTB by ZTE, is an inside, in-depth look at various basketball personalities, philosophies, and happenings around the game today. Whether it's globally, at the NBA, or at the NBA D-League level, we want to take a closer look through the use of several of our Texas Legends celebrities and many other of our friends as to why the game is played the way it is, some interesting stories along the way, and just some other information you may not find in your normal sports highlight show. We look forward to you tuning in to the next episode of Beyond the Bounce.